before the first champion select.
And we're not going to waste any time, so let's jump straight into the draft of Game 1. Talia and Nico on the side of T1, respecting Kyle's Nico on the bot side of the map. The Pantheon coming through from AL, question marks around things like the Vi, how high priority is on the list. Do you want to give Faker his Azir? The answer to that is no. That is immediately going to be banned away by AL. A lot of power picks still up and available. The value of things like Annie in particular, very high in the draft.
Varus, Pantheon, both still up at the moment. Rise, target here as well. Oh, Pantheon, of course, already out, but Xin Zhao, another priority AD jungle. So a lot of options still available here. Orianna, definitely still up and available. Couple of mages here.
You have to take into consideration things like the Gwen. Yeah, we saw this being highly prioritized by T1 in their series against Genji as well. With that locked in, Flandre has the possibility of bringing out something like the Jax, but there are a lot of answers that we've been seeing coming through from the Gwen so far in the tournament. Rumble, also perfectly safe blind pick if they want to go for that as well.
Exactly, two of the most common ones right there to play into it. Of course, the Gwen side, they're fine with blind picking it because even if you do get the Rumble, they're fine with scaling out and have been able to live through the lane, no problem. If it is going to be the Annie, our most common pairing is the Wukong after it. Tarzan does really highly prioritize that Wukong. These two synergize just so well for their burst combinations and the CC that they bring to some of the early fights.
The concern of early picking a Wukong, though, is the possible Poppy response. We know that Ona is a very effective Poppy, so instead they could look to prioritize something else. We talked about the Rumble. There are some AD carries that they could also consider prioritizing, something like the Ezreal as well. Right now, they are hovering on the Wukong, and they're not going to hesitate. This will give Ona the opportunity to counter-pick, and being paired alongside the Gwen, I mean, they have a ton of options. We've seen something like the Sejuani come through. The Vi's, of course, still available if they want a little bit more dive threat.
Yeah, Vi plus a burst champion for mid lane for Faker. Faker has done very well on a lot of playmaking champions for the mid lane. Owner Vi here locked in. That is a powerful pick for T1. What do they want to pair it with first here, though, into the Annie?
Normally, we'd see mages as a response into the Annie, but the Galio
that is a burst champion.
It also pairs very nicely with the amount of dive.
People actually underestimate the burst damage that Galio can have, especially early on into the game. And as you say, it does cover a couple bases here as far as being good into the Annie later for the team fights, with the Magic Shield as well as the ultimate for counter engage.
And also, Faker is famous for many champions, but Galio is perhaps one of his most famous picks, especially after last year's World Finals. The unkillable Demon King staying true to his name on this champion as AL round out their first half with the Jace.
And some of Faker's most iconic games of all time. I think back to 2017, the run that Faker had at Worlds playing Galio. He was everywhere on the map. If you think this champion cannot carry, you have not seen Faker play it.
Certainly. You have to have missed a lot of games if you have not seen Faker play it, especially at Worlds. So let's get into the bottom lanes here because we are going to dive a bit deeper. Varus, of course, was already taken out super early. So things like the Jhin, both of them have really prioritized those types of champions, especially if you're looking at some sort of counter engage, maybe the Xayah type for Guma. Definitely very good at counter engage as well.
Yeah, Xayah Rakan is a tried and true bot lane for this T1. So makes a lot of sense they would want to get rid of the Rakan. I wonder if they would consider something like a Karma. We've been seeing it rise in priority a lot. It depends on how much they want to commit to the dive angle, because Kai'Sa is another champion that could also synergize nicely with what T1 have drafted so far.
Yeah, people often, when they are these full dive comps, either go towards something like Kai'Sa, or you go the more defensive routes like Ezreal, Senna, these types of champions that can help enable and maybe stay safe.
Yeah, Kai'Sa's been like a hole for Guma as far as his champion pool, though, so not really expecting that one for their side. What other sort of protection bands do they need, though? The Poppy is definitely a very good one, versatile champion. As you say, so many dashes could have a lot
they could consider banning.
Yeah.
The Lucian. I mean, if we watched Hope's Lucian yesterday, it makes a lot of sense that they would want to take that away from the pool. But now AL have a lot of flexibility. Braum makes a lot of sense against dive. Morgana, very niche, but also very good. It depends if they want more defensive tools or they want more engage. Right now, it seems that they want to channel a little bit more in the poke direction. Jhin, a very powerful laner, does well into many matchups in the current meta and synergizes quite nicely with champions like Jace.
Okay, we get a rel hover over here, so maybe some counter engage, invest in like Braum or something towards the bottom side of the map. They already, of course, have several options to themselves, but the early hover on the Jhin, as we mentioned, both of them have really preferred this champion. Lots of utility from the bottom lane, and they've been pretty good at keeping their space.
Right now, T1 are just taking the maximum amount of time that they can to contemplate their options towards the bot side of the map. The Jhin is going to be the lock-in. Of course, doesn't have any inherent dashes, so if AL can get on top of the Jhin, it can be very difficult to play, but with champions like the Galio being able to provide protection, and Bard being an effective pairing that we've seen many times before, can be very effective at denying some of those fast engages that AL are planning with this Annie Wukong.
Gary really toying with them. The Nautilus, of course, is the more offensive version. You can hook rel out of combos, and you can look for some point-and-click CC along with that Vi. Very critical when trying to shut down carries.
Interesting that AL is considering the Kai'Sa right now. Of course, Hope, very well known for his Kai'Sa, one of his most played throughout this year. And I mean, it pairs nicely with the dive that they have already built up with the Annie, the Wukong, and the Rel. And they're going to lock that one in. All right. So AL, I mean, they've gone for a very powerful mid-game spike with this type of composition. Around one item, they have so much burst damage. They have decent backline access thanks to both the Rel and the Wukong. But on paper, the question is how effectively can they use their poke with things like the Kai'Sa and the Jace? Setting up around these objectives, they have a lot of long range that they can look to try and chip away at T1's HP.
Also, AL, yeah, they have this kind of guarantee, this Jace on the top side to give you a pushing lane. So it opens up Tarzan to try and like mirror Owner. And Owner's going to be looking to play, you know, towards a lot of the CC on his team, towards the Jhin Nautilus, towards the Galio even, visit early to try and help out Faker. So we'll see if they can do that jungle tracking there. Tarzan has been very good at shadowing style.
I will also say with T1, the amount of dive that they have, I'm excited to see how well they can execute it. I think back to game 2 in their series against Gen G, their composition at just locking down a single target and removing them was flawless.
The drafts are done. The stage is set. T1 versus anyone's legend. Getting ready for the first game of what is sure to be an incredible series. MSI has delivered 5-game series after 5-game series this year. So lock in, Vancouver. We're getting ready for a good one.
It is LPL versus LCK at MSI. On this stage, there's a tremendous amount of pressure here. The last 2 years, T1 have been stopped in this spot. 3rd place in 2023 MSI, stopped by BLG, stopped by the LPL. 2024, also stopped in 3rd place by the LPL.
I mean, even going back to 2022, we didn't have as many teams at MSI, but it was RNG that denied them. It's been so long since T1 was able to lift an MSI trophy. But when you look at the record all time, T1 have had the LPL's number.
They absolutely have. This is the team that time after time after time always delivers against their greatest rivals, the LPL.
Deep ward here. I like this from Tarzan. As I was mentioning in Champion Select, you really want to be able to track Owner's early pathing here because he does have some volatile lanes to work with. And when you have early Vi, there's a lot more ganking potential than the early Wukong pre-6. Wukong definitely looking to get the ultimate, whereas Vi can go for, you know, Q flash plays on some of these CC heavy lanes. But with that ward on blue buff, they will assume and they will surmise that Owner is starting from bottom to top.
You can see Shanks getting very aggressive here already in the mid lane, constantly trying to harass Faker, utilizing that range advantage, and we'll see how much he can keep Faker down. It does feel like the mid lane is going to be key. And I feel like Shanks has been incredible so far as Doran getting very aggressive. He's playing the grass, but Flandra now trading back well, has Doran quite low.
Again, callbacks to Doran versus Zeus. Could try and force some flashes there early on.
Both of these supports very creative. Keria, of course, he cooks a little bit harder. Both of them playing Spellbook in this first game. And Tarzan up towards this top side. It's a level 2 gank. Doran has to flash out, but down to the bot side. It's Kyle in a lot of trouble. Guma's looking. First blood is going to go to AL, but it's going to be traded back immediately. Hope now firing onto Guma. Will retreat. The action is hot and heavy. 2 minutes in, 2 kills on the board.
And it's fairly even in the bottom side. Both AD carries getting the kill credit there, but the difference in summoner spells is flash versus the barrier for the all-in.
A very tense moment across the rift. Tarzan looking for a very early play as Flandre gets low.
Doran in trouble, has no flash. Flandre does have his flash available, but he is incredibly low on mana. Guma very low also. And junglers could be in the area. It's a pause.
We get a little taste of the action.
So the official reason on stage for the pause, some mouse issues on the T1 side. So we're gonna hopefully get that sorted out very, very quickly.
Up on mice for this tournament.
We're back.
We have had some mice issues. All right, we are stocked up.
We'll walk in as Doran, he's in trouble already. Tarzan is back and Tarzan claims another. AL are hungry in this early game.
It's Tarzan with the camp, the king of the jungle here, going top lane so hard. And look at the minimap. During that, they had swapped over, so it is Owner and Keria up there, but it's already too late after the action has already finished.
AL with an effective early game plan. They get Doran's flash, and then they're able to find a follow-up gank. They find themselves with a small gold lead early. Shanks looking to get a nice trade off in mid lane.
And I have to say, that is so good for AL, for Tarzan. He actually doesn't lose out on any of his bot side camps there because Owner was clearing from bottom up to top and then did part of his blue camps before getting there. Very, very good stuff for Tarzan. Of course, Owner is going to finish up his clear and still have his CS lead, but Doran will be in trouble.
I mean, it's huge. You know, at worst, you maybe lose a scuttle. Faker gonna go in here. Keria looking, flash forward, flash out. The taunt just barely connects, and there's Keria. T1 will strike back in the mid lane.
Faker Galio sets it up. Keria here, level 2 on the Nautilus, finds his way in, and they get their kill back.
AL committing their bot side towards top lane means that Kyle is not roaming around the map in the same way that Keria is. Yes, he's losing out on some experience, but making plays like that happen is exactly what T1 needs.
Doran getting aggressive, but has he gone too far? He has the flash available, but AL are looking to chase him down, and Doran may have gone too far. Flash forward here from Hope, and is going to be able to knock him down. Feet of Warfare claimed by the LPL reps.
Their focus on Doran and getting his summoner early, and this pressure is paying off for AL.
A big overstep from Doran as he tries to take a fight that he just wasn't strong enough to take. He doesn't have his TP available. He's going to lose so much farm and experience as Flandre getting a bit of pressure put down onto him on the bot side of the map, but feeling pretty safe in this 2v1.
Yeah, the timing of that kill is so big. The cannon went down, a bunch of this wave just goes into the dirt in front of the tower. All right, we're going to look at more of these volatile areas because while Faker did blow his flash to set up the gank onto Shanks, he also defensively flashed there on the Annie. So there should be more returns towards mid lane. You can see there are 2 wards towards the top side, which are actually getting swept out at the moment, but bottom side is still clean for T1 and Keria's back.
And small correction, Doran, his flash is not actually up, so it wasn't actually available when he did go down there, even though it is showing as up.
Yeah.
Does not have it currently. And Doran just trying to crash this wave here, but Open Kyle not allowing him to do it, and Tarzan is behind him. Doran, though, playing far enough back, looks like he will be safe for now.
I mean, AL have a really nice free setup on the top wave. They can just keep it here. Doran is in a very awkward position. The good news for him is that his team is still getting stuff on the map. They do secure that dragon on the bot side, and now they can look to steal away some of Tarzan's bot camps and put some pressure onto Flandre. But Doran is just being suffocated from all this farm as AL find another good trade.
Yeah, it looks like T1 are going to send multiple people over to attack Flandre and force him off. But while they're taking away some camps from Tarzan's side, Tarzan is doing the exact same here on T1's jungle. He is camping that top lane so incredibly hard, splitting the map and taking away multiple camps.
Just play safe, the classic top lane experience. Neither of these guys can even get in range for experience. So it's gonna be Kyle TPing down here, double TP to make sure that Flandre can grab this. Beautiful use of the early spellbook teleport there from Kyle, who gets down and makes sure Flandre cannot be dove there. Faker now face checking, is gonna find 2 members from AL. Do they have the damage to knock down the Galio? Faker trying to kite it out. Looks like he just barely will be able to get back to the tower. Keria arrives and Faker survives.
He just wanted to get a ward down. AL were looking to reset. They set up a trap, but they didn't quite have the damage. That early Null Magic Mantle doing wonders. As Kyle and Carrier, they trade a bit. Shanks is going to need to catch this wave, and we find ourselves with another pause.
Every single time. The regular season struggles, when they have them, don't seem to translate to international. It was the same story going into Worlds last year, and they walked away world champions. This team seems to thrive off of the doubt, thrive off of the struggle. It just makes them stronger.
Yeah, for like the whole year, everyone expecting HLE and Gen G to be the reps. But into this game with some fresh mice in everybody's hands. And we've got our lanes finally answered and evened up.
And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the junglers, because already we've been seeing Tarzan have huge impact on the top side of the map. But it was Oner that so many people were talking about during T1's regular season. And Tarzan, ever since he joined AL, it feels like AL has completely changed their approach, the level of play that they've brought. And we got a really meaningful interview from Taba yesterday where he talked about how important Tarzan is to this team. Historically, the record favors Oner, and that was back in 2023 Worlds where they met in LNG versus T1.
Yeah, and that one was definitely a very rough one for Tarzan. Got flamed a lot for it. So it could be a very meaningful match here for him to get some revenge and redemption versus T1.
I mean, it was just so fun listening to Tabe speak about Tarzan. He couldn't say enough positive about him, talking about Tarzan being the guiding light for the team that leads them to safety, the captain of the team that they can always trust in. You can tell how tight of a relationship they have, how much this team really does believe in their jungler.
Yeah, you truly can. From all of the interviews with Tabe as well, talked about him a lot. This was after the games yesterday, but he also gave a long, in-depth interview with Dom and Yamato, and he talked about how at the beginning, Kyle, he was very shy and had some problems with communication. And when Tarzan joined the team, he treated him like this younger brother. And since Tarzan's Chinese is so good, he really improved the communication there. And it's no wonder that those two have such good synergy within the game.
And they have become the best jungle support duo in the LPL. They have become incredible. And that is the fun, I think, of this Anyone's Legend team, where there's so many players with these improbable stories where it feels like, you know, they were overlooked or they were underrated or they were passed by other teams, by other players, and they've come together to be greater than the sum of their parts. Kyle here, potentially in trouble, is going to get hit by the Deadly Flourish. Hooked after, but it won't be more than just a trade there. Doran just fighting down here with Flandre. Taking the worst end of these trades, just trying to stay relevant after these two early ganks that Tarzan used to put him quite behind.
Now, I will say I am a little surprised to see AL so respectful towards the Grubs. This is an objective that this team absolutely loves. T1, though, was able to get it pretty much uncontested. AL didn't put up much of a fight. Instead, they've prioritized on farming through the jungle, wanting to work towards that first item. And as we were talking about in draft, when you see this AL comp, I feel like that they spike so nicely on that first item. The Trinity Force for the Wukong, the Malignants that we're expecting for Shanks. These champions, once they've got their ultimates online, when they're ready for the mid-game team fights, is something that T1 needs to be cautious of.
You were talking, Kobe, about how much burst Galio can do, and Faker is going to go for a damage item first. You know, has the mask here, is going to be building in, likely towards Riftmaker, as we see that first item most often. But sometimes people will go tank into damage or just pure damage. So Faker here definitely wanting to bring that extra AP threat here alongside the rest of the dive that T1 is drafted for.
Yep, and he's got his early Merc treads to deal with the Annie setup as well. Can be very critical when you're looking at layering those CCs. The extra bit of tenacity can be just enough.
Nice hook does connect. Deadly Flourish is going to root, but buffered out there on the crash down by Kyle.
Oner just hovering around the bot lane to make sure they can get this push out. Notice that Faker has the push in mid as well. So T1 will be first to this objective. We look at the minimap and AL is in a position to contest. Both top laners should have their TPs available. Hex Flash used by
He's
Carrier.
threatening. He's going to pop the ulti here onto Hope. Deadly Flourish is there, and here comes Faker's Hero's entrance. The CC not quite layered as Kyle is there for the peel. And Oner on the other side in a lot of trouble. Oner trying to survive, but he cannot do it. Tarzan has knocked him down. Carrier the target now. Tarzan flashes forward. Cyclone on two. Faker next to fall. Doran in the midst of everyone. Can he turn it around? They get one back here as Guma claims the kill, but it is action after action here in game number 1.
Yeah, it ends in a 2 for 2. T1 start out the play trying to find the wraparound towards Hope and do get the kill, but it costs him 2 in the counter, and so nobody's going to be able to take the Dragon. We'll have to see about the reset afterwards, and this is the look here. As the minion wave is getting pushed by Hope, Keria finds the angle to wrap around, and they pull off the Dragon because they have so many long-range abilities to follow up. You saw Guma go for the root, Galio ult comes in, but then Owner, who was trying to rotate with the rest of the squad, gets countered there by Shanks and Tarzan.
And then the TPs from the top lane has arrived. Tarzan wants to continue the chase. He gets a little too low as Guma's able to consistently dish out the damage. Doran, I thought that he was in so much danger on the backside, but he was able to create enough space between him and AL that he was able to get away to safety. Now T1 not slowing the game down.
Looking for a potential dive here. Keria is behind him. Flandre in some trouble. Will he be able to kite it out? Flashes, sidesteps. Well done by Flandre. Survives the pressure. And I have to highlight Kyle in that previous fight. As Faker landed, Q Flash stuns him to deny the taunt follow-up onto Hope. Kept his AD carry alive for much longer. Allowed him to put out that pressure in that fight. Kyle already looking good in this game number 1.
And look at T1's call. They made the effort to put so much more money into this Gwen. They're like, fine, on reset, they'll go for the Dragon, but we will get so much more money, all these plates and solo tower gold for Doran. That was the attack point for AL early on in this game. Now Doran has actually taken the gold lead.
Much needed for Doran on the top side of the map. Feats of strength now in T1's favor. And Faker not really at risk of a dive. The minion wave wasn't stacked enough, and on this Galio, he feels tanky enough to be able to weather any pressure. T1 exerting across the map right now as they fully control the top side jungle, leveraging the commitment onto Flandre that they were able to invest, alongside setting up nice defense on the bot side. Yes, they will concede a lot of vision control, but no camps were stolen away. There is no cross map coming through from Tarzan, which means that Owner just finding those jungle advantages across the board.
And T1 now only one objective away here from the upgraded boots. I think they're going to have their eyes on the Herald here, spawning in 50 seconds, which would get them the feats of strength.
And all that focus of gold into Doran resulted
He's
in
gonna
his...
pop the ulti here onto Kyle. Deadly Flourish will not connect. Kyle looking like he might be able to get out. Tarzan could be in some trouble. Clone over the wall. There's the flash forward, though. They're going to try to fully send it. Faker got interrupted on his ulti, though, by Shanks on the side. Faker, though, flanking. Tarzan's down. Kyle is sure to follow. Faker may get slowed, but he will not be stopped. Arrives all the same, and T1 are looking like they want more.
They don't have a minion wave to play with. I think a dive against Shanks would be very risky, but they are just buying time. They're trying to clear through the wave as quickly as they can. Shanks stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. He has nowhere to go.
Goodbye, Shanks! Goodbye!
Shanks will try as he might. The rest of the members are coming in here from AL. Can they get anything back? The CC is layered. Shanks gonna fall. Hope is in the area. Flandre takes a tower on the top side, but for now, no kills back.
Another tower is secured as well from T1. And just like that, they've ballooned the gold lead. They punish Tarzan's invade. He did not have the time or the agency to move into that bot side jungle and threaten that red. And T1 knew this. Look at the minimap. You can see the collapse is so much stronger because all of the T1 members are on this side of the map. There's no way for Flandre to get involved. Annie is forced to catch the wave, and T1, they leave no prisoners.
Yeah, T1 had really good timers there because Doran had just reset after spending all of that gold from the topside play. He had the fully finished Rift Maker, and they had plenty of long-range CC with the Nautilus, with the Jhin, to be able to punish the invade heavily.
They're just trying to keep everyone's heart rates down. It's getting a little bit too exciting. Everyone take it
Incredible
deep.
to watch.
We're back. All right, everyone got a snack, got their drinks. We're ready for some more League of Legends here. As T1 looking very good in this early game. 1.8K is the advantage, just 15 minutes in, and one objective away from claiming feats here.
Now, of course, supports play a vital role for both of these teams. But what's impressed me already in this game one is Keria has been involved in every single kill that T1 have been able to find. He has been leaving Guma isolated in a side lane so that he can roam around the map. He's been working closely with Faker specifically to try and attack Shanks. And so far in this game, they've succeeded, finding himself with a 0-2-1 scoreline. Hope is the player that's just kind of been picking up these kills where he can in the exchanges, but right now across the board it is T1 that find themselves with the gold lead. A large part of that is because of these 2 towers that they were able to secure, and with the 3rd dragon on the horizon, both teams will be setting their sights and looking to grab that objective for themselves.
It is good that you mention Hope though, because he just did his 2-item power spike. Now with the Rage Blade, the Kai'Sa very capable of making some of these pick plays. AL, they have so much CC on their team to set him up with Plasma. So if they can control some vision here, that would be the first step in opening up an area on the map to be able to make that pick with. Kyle himself going to try and do that, but as you can see, very good vision toggle by the observers. T1 have made it difficult for them.
They really have, and Hope, as you said, on those 2 items, because he has the free boots. Guma on the other side has slightly more gold, but he did not have free boots, did upgrade those steel caps to try to survive the dive that he knows is going to be coming for him.
20 seconds now until the Dragon. And while AL have good vision control, it's T1 that have the pressure on the waves. Mid and bot have both been pushed in. Doran now making his way towards the river with the rest of his team. Shanks needs to go back to base, spend what gold he can, and now he's going to TP towards the middle lane. Going to pick up an amp tone, so a bit of extra AP as now the contest over this mid wave begins.
Yeah, he's sitting on 3 charges of his passive, so he can just shield in with the speed, look for the big stun play. The wards are there for T1, but the approach for AL is here.
T1 pulling back out. Carrier just uses heal to swap over to that exhaust, so has it ready for the fight. AL drop the Herald mid and are looking. Tarzan going for it, trying to get some poke down here as T1 forcing the flash out of Tarzan there as Carrier came through with the dredge line. Both teams posturing for position, but it is Faker on the side.
Faker's done a good job of keeping that bot wave push. Kyle goes
gonna go in, and they're trying to turn around the other side. Faker going in with the hero's entrance, knocks up 2. Tarzan in trouble, but is kiting back. Kyle now gonna have to flash out. Guma opens up. Kyle is the target. Can he survive? He's still alive for now. Shanks and Hope turning the fight around. It's AL pulling victory from the jaws of defeat.
T1 over-chased the enemy support. Kyle reels them in under the tower, and AL have control of the Dragon area.
AL gonna start this one off as they find a winning fight against T1. Shanks' Annie was huge in that choke point. T1, oh, Carrier.
Carrier is here.
Yes, Smite. Oh, not gonna be able to steal it. Carrier's now in a bit of danger as he finds himself in a 1v1. T1 trying to keep the rest of AL in the mid lane. Flash comes through from Flandre, forcing them back a little bit. But all right, a very tense affair between AL and T1.
Incredibly, and Dragon number 2 going AL's way, putting a stop to the momentum that T1 had been building is critical here. Plus, for the next consecutive play, now there is no flash on Doran. Of course, Tarzan got his blown really early there as well, so the Wukong got reduced a lot in viability for that team fight. And that probably is one of the reasons why T1 did chase it so heavily.
Yeah, I mean, the fight start for T1 looked fantastic. The Galio ultimate hit onto like 3 members. I thought that once the engage from Kyle came through, Hope was immediately going to dive onto the backline. Tarzan was going to come through. And again, we'll get a chance to see it. Look at this follow-through that comes from Faker. As Kyle gets the engage, the immediate backline response. Hook connects onto Tarzan. 3-man knockup from Carrier. The follow-up ulti means that AL is completely separated from Kyle. But then as he flashes away, T1 overstep a little too far, and then Shanks drops the 2-man stun. The Tibbers comes through. Hope comes from over the wall to pick up a kill, gets the shutdown as well onto Ona.
Yeah, T1 were just split on 2 sides of that large wall. Carrier even walking into the tower to try and get over there to them, but that 2 combo, quite nice. T1 still able to get the mid tower though in the aftermath. They still have their gold lead and Otacon is on the map, so you have to believe they're gonna rotate over, control the vision, and try and force some sort of face check.
Off the back of that fight though, AL did claim the upgraded boots. T1 though, as they often do, starting up the Otacon here. Flandre is now in base, has the teleport available. Will AL get here in time? Hope and Shanks are trailing, and T1 is killing this fast. Teleport now coming in here from Flandre. Will T1 look to turn, or will they try to finish? Shanks now repositioning on the side, will be spotted by T1 as Kyle moves forward, stuns up Doran. Doran in some trouble from the Magnet Storm. The Deadly Flourish is going to connect as Guma opens up, and Tarzan has stolen the Otacon. AL trying to just run out, but now Hope is there. Hope's going to be hit by the exhaust, goes in, aggressively, but it's Guma now, free. It's Guma firing. It's Hope in some trouble. He's getting locked down by Faker, but Hope is just taking over. Hope will not be stopped. It's a triple for the Kaisa as Hope goes crazy.
It's the Hope of the LPL. He's able to gain so many kills in the aftermath, and because Tarzan's smite hits true, they're able to get the advantage here. Hope still has the advantage.
T1 came so close to killing Hope, but just barely. He was able to navigate his way through the fight and walk away with a triple kill. 8-1 on the Kaisa as the TP collapse response from T1.
This is Keria TPing in with the Summoner's Spellbook here. Hope just going to try to turn around on Doran. Doran is getting very low to these minions. Has to be careful. Keria does arrive. Hope going to try to outplay. The passive auto, the hook, the shutdown. It's 1K in the bank for Doran. Survives with a sliver of health.
The Krug Lord learned how to play on the edge of his health bar. No Krugs, no Wolves, no problem.
We look at this fight, and it's Kael again with an engage. The hook from Keria hits onto the Otacon, but he does get the ultimate onto Hope, forcing him out of the fight. Doran's able to do so much damage onto the front line as the Galio engage comes through. But this choke point, Shanks drops a big stun, forcing T1 to retreat. But T1 don't really care because Guma's doing so much damage on the backline. And look at the positioning of Hope. Everything is thrown at him. He flashes away from the damage of the Galio. Shanks just barely able to get the damage off to secure that kill on the backline as Hope walks away with a triple kill.
Yeah, Hope made sure that Shanks was going to live after that one, chasing off the rest of T1. Guma had to retreat. Now, as we get back out into the action, though, we'll see about the reset. So many flashes blown in that last fight. There will be vulnerabilities here. So it puts so much importance on the vision setup. And right now, you can see Owner is moving in with Doran.
Is going to be spotted, and Tarzan looking
Danger.
here. Will they find the engage? Doran going to have to try to kite back. Is going to be knocked up by the Cyclone. Shanks cannot get in range just yet, and Tarzan now in trouble. Owner's going to go forward to follow. Doran's incredibly low, but he's still surviving. Owner running now as Kyle arrives, and here comes Hope, and that might be the end of the hope for the fight for T1 as they have got to run. This Kaisa is on a roll, and Kyle is going to get sped up. Knocks in Guma. Another will fall. 3 kills for AL. Wherever Hope goes, T1 has none.
Hope shines bright as T1 look for a pick onto Tarzan. The collapse comes through thanks to the Kaisa ultimate, and he picks T1 apart once more.
10 kills on that Kaisa. 3 items completed already. He is going to destroy them, and that's Dragon number 3. That is Dragon Soul points. Here's another look at the 2v2 that started out. They wanted again to go for Doran here and get him incredibly low. T1 get their kill, but look at the reinforcements. Hope flies in on the Kaisa, is able to play off the setup.
And you can see that Shanks was hesitant to drop his combo right from the start because of that Gwen invulnerability that she's provided. And that meant that because he hesitated so long, Doran was almost able to get away to safety. But as you said, Hope comes in just at the right time. And while the kills are very close, the gold is very close. All of the gold is basically sitting on Hope, as the rest of T1 will still find ways to navigate these upcoming fights.
But as we watch these replays, Ale is picking up dragons. They are now on Soul Point here, and it is Cloud Soul, incredibly powerful for a lot of the champions that they are running.
Okay, so when you have an AD carry that's super fed, what do? Vi ult and Nautilus ult are very good tools at trying to shut down that Kaisa. So we will be looking at Hope's flash, at Hope attempts to survive.
Hope has that Terminus and likely going to build towards GA next. You have to think to try to answer all of this dive. You know, Zhonya's would be another option, but he is not going that route. Does have the BF, and I'm assuming that is going to be the GA.
You can see that Shanks is hesitant to push out that top lane, even though AL are all hovering around the topside jungle, and that's because he recognizes how quickly the collapse from T1 can be, with Ona on this Vi and Faker who can quickly follow up. Baron is going to be started, and this will be spotted out.
It's a T1 classic. When the stakes are high, they go to these objectives, they force their opponents to respond. Flandre on the other side of the map is going to teleport. AL are here. Doran threatening a flank on the side. Tarzan moving in, but Keria is marking him. Will T1 just try to finish it? Looks like they're going to turn for the fight. Keria in trouble in the front line. Ona's going to the back line, but Tarzan is turning the fight around. T1 go into the meat grinder. They stand no chance at all. It is 4 kills for AL.
They throw everything at Hope. They put as much CC down as possible, yet it is still not enough to take him down. He doesn't pick up a kill, but the rest of AL is there to support him, and now they're running through the base.
AL on the march here, looking to put the finishing touches on this game. T1 went for the Baron, but AL have eyes on their Nexus. Flash forward, there's the flash out and the barrier from Guma, but he's got nothing to do about this. No way to stop AL. They will claim game one off of a heroic performance from Hope.
T1 got the early lead, but AL come out in fight after fight after fight, and they retake control.